only 11 days to go in the transfer window. It's going to be a massive 11 days for Celtic if they do lose Matt O'Reilly, who Celtic today have had an official bid coming from Brighton. Will Matt O'Reilly want to go to Brighton? Will he go down to the South Coast? And if he goes to Brighton, they will lose Billy Gilmour, who will go to Italy as part of the deal, which I think is absolutely astonishing, because if you think if Matt O'Reilly was going to go anywhere, Billy Gilmour was going to go to Napoli, and Celtic go to Matt O'Reilly then goes to Brighton. But the club are in talks. About the situation, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out. But before we go on about that, we need to go on about a transfer of a player that has just left Celtic, who has went through a medical, but there's been a medical issue revealed. But the transfer will still go through, thankfully, for Bosun Lawwell. I almost had a lump in my throat there when I thought he's maybe actually going to come back to Celtic. But Bosun has done the deal. They've signed that long-term contract. It's done and dusted. That's all we need to say. We move on. We move back to Matt O'Reilly, because the breaking news this afternoon is that Brighton make a formal bid for Matt O'Reilly. Brighton are in talks with Celtic about a deal for the midfield player. The Italian side have obviously had 5 bids rejected. Chelsea and other clubs across Europe are still interested in the Denmark international, it has been said. So will Celtic manage to keep a hold of the player until the end of the window? Well, even Brendan Rodgers said yesterday that he did not know. He says that the club do have a price in mind for the player, and as yet no one has met the price for Matt O'Reilly. Is it the fact that they don't? Well, the Italians obviously thought he wasn't worth the money. Is it the fact that the English teams, who are cash rich, and we all know that they overspend on players, will they make a move in the next couple of days for Matt O'Reilly? Brighton have had that formal bid made to Celtic. Nothing is agreed, but the clubs are in talk, which is set to continue over the next few days. With 21 million being put on the table from Atlanta, that was rejected last week by Celtic, £21 million plus add-ons, Brighton will know that they need to go in with the region of 25 million. O'Reilly, who has scored 19 goals last season, 18 assists and 49 appearances, and he's won quite a bit of silverware at his time at Celtic. But every player has their price, as we all know. We know the way the club works. But Matt O'Reilly could take it upon himself to go, no, I just want to stay here. Matt O'Reilly can still turn down. I mean, even if Celtic do accept the offer, if we do accept the offer of, say, 24 million, say they come in at 24, and then, it comes down to Matt. Matt does have a lot of power in this situation. He doesn't have to go. But if they're dangling the carrot of 55 to 60 grand a week, we all know that players jump at the cash. Just look at the young lad who left Celtic for a fantastic amount of wages. It's been suggested that he was actually offered up to £1 million a year to stay at Celtic. But if Matt O'Reilly does leave, who do we bring in? Although we have Paulo Bernardo in the wings, it still means that we're short in that midfield. Odom Ohm, for me, isn't the player that Celtic doesn't have that enough creativity in the middle of the park. For me, personally, tell me your thoughts in the comments. It is the One Celtic Fans View, and I try to get as many views on as possible. It isn't live just now, but we'll come on live at 8 p.m. tonight, 8 p.m. Celtic part-time tonight, and we can talk about a potential replacement for Matt O'Reilly. Brendan Rodgers does know that he wants to strengthen. We are 11 days to the end of the transfer window. Brendan Rodgers says he wanted in two goalkeepers. He got them. Brendan Rodgers said he wanted in 2 strikers. We've only got 1 striker in so far. Everyone knows we need a left back. The manager says that we need a left back just to give Greg Taylor that little bit of competition. Will we get a left back in loan? As it gets closer to the end of the window, Celtic fans will start to fear the way that the window went last summer, and in came Nat Phillips as a last-minute loan player that was an absolute disaster. absolute disaster of a signing for Brendan Rodgers, and one that he would like to forget, hopefully. And Nat Phillips was sent back to Liverpool at Christmas. We didn't really miss him at all. If anything, Celtic played better the second half of the season. Brendan Rodgers has warned clubs that O'Reilly will not be leaving Celtic cheap this summer. Celtic have held fast so far. There have obviously been bids that will come in for Matt, but there is no need for us to sell. We don't want to sell. Brendan Rodgers has said recently, if there's an offer that comes in that fits the valuation of the player, then that's a different matter. Until that moment, I'm fairly relaxed because he's in training, he's doing quite well, and you just continue to be focused and perform. A lot of people are saying, look, Matt O'Reilly's girlfriend is probably settled here. I think she's got one more year at uni to go here, so she might not want to move. The challenge for teams like Brighton is to come up with a package. Brighton are cash rich, to come up with a package that will meet Celtic's valuation for the player. What's important from the player, if he does leave here, that they pay the value for the player. No player will leave, said Brendan Rodgers, unless it's for the right valuation. At this moment, there has been no team that has been anywhere near that valuation for Matt O'Reilly. It is breaking Celtic news this afternoon. It's just, we knew this story would go on and on. A lot of Celtic fans were hoping and praying that we'd get to the end of the window with no more bids coming in, but that was really just fantasy football stuff. I think we all knew secretly that there would probably be more bids come in within the last week. Does it give Celtic enough time? Does it give Celtic FC enough time to get it another midfield player in? Because let's face it, we do need someone else in. Can Celtic get 3 or 4 quality signings in the door in the next 11 days? The way that they've dragged their heels, it seems, with the transfers over the case of the summer, the way that the Adam Ida one went out for the whole summer, the way the Paulo Bernardo one went the whole summer, it isn't an ideal situation for Celtic, and Brendan Rodgers must be absolutely livid behind the scenes with the situation. Let's be honest, he told the board exactly what he wanted before the window even opened. Right at the end of last season, he had discussions, he still does, with the board, and they knew exactly the players that he wanted, and the players and the positions that he wanted to strengthen. So let's chat about that tonight. And on that note, have a fantastic day to all you Celtic fans all around the world.
Lit. Roll up to the party.